Like, dude, because, you know, like, it's like hard to find people who are like super passionate, you know, because the problem is everybody's so overexposed to everything. I've talked about that a lot. It's like we have like watch ADHD.
I know.
Because like even when I started,
that's the right way to put it.
Dude, when I was still just a collector before I was a dealer, it was like you buy a couple watches or whatever, and then like you open up Instagram, and you're like, oh shit, look at that, I need that, and then you're like, okay, just sell the watch you just bought. I have clients who will buy a watch from me, and then like 2 weeks later, they're like, I want to buy something else. And I'm like, yo.
And bro, for the record, I am not so impulsive when it comes to watches.
Right.
Like I wait for them, I chill, like I'm not like...
What you just did with that is what I did with the FP Journe that I bought from Roman.
Yeah.
Like, saw it, fell in love, or like, fuck it. Like,
and it's something different, man.
Exactly.
I'm going to show you like a clunker here that I'm bringing, that it's going to cost me like not a lot of money, but it's just, I like it.
Right.
And lately, like,
I also bought at the same show, the antique show, and it's like buying modern stuff for myself, something I never do. You know, I bought a Ming for $2,000. You know anything about those watches?
What is that?
Hold on,
what is that?
It's this. It's like.
I mean, maybe I see it and I'm like, oh, that thing. Look at this. I don't know what's going on here, but this looks pretty
Put it on like a vintage
dramatic.
Bracelet, but so it's this collaboration of watchmakers, like independent watchmakers who. Their releases actually are super popular and they sell for over retail because it's like an independent kind of style watch. So they're like the watch nerd crowd are really into them. But you know, I just kind of like fell in love with it and for the price point. You know, it's a beautiful watch. I've sold a bunch of them.
It's cool looking. What do they cost?
So there's different models that get expensive, like up into the teens. But that one, you could get that one online for like $3,000, you know, $3,500. I think retail was like $2,500, something like that.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like I don't know about these watches.
I just liked it, you know. So
people was asking me the other day. It was like, man, you've been buying. They've been asking me like, you've been buying like my friends. You've been buying vintage watches. Like, so what? You're not into the new watches anymore? I'm like, yeah, I still have my new watches, and I wear them all the time, and I love them. It's just that lately, I feel that instead of like, okay, like grill piece, right? Like, oh my God, I want this 5980 rose gold, and it's like a lot of money, and you can get it. But like now, I can buy a bunch of other smaller pieces and have fun with that.
You could do both. You can't. You don't have to do just one or the other. You know what I'm saying? It's like cars. Like I have a vintage Porsche and I have a modern Porsche, and I love them both like, for different occasions. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what it is exactly. Like another guy asked me, a friend of mine, it's like, so what? You're like getting into the vintage game to sell vintage? I'm like, no, I'm doing that for me. I just like them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I have to easily be like delicate with them as I would be with my gold watches. It's the same thing for me, bro.
You don't really need to be super.
I know, but you know how I am.
The risk is though with a vintage watch, like those are durable as hell. But like the risk is that
the looms.
If
that's what worries me, man.
If you fuck something up, you can't replace that dial. Like especially that's Tiffany & Co. Like where are you gonna find a Tiffany & Co. dial? If it was just a normal 1680 dial, like okay, we could find one. It's gonna cost like $3,000 for a great one, you know. But Tiffany & Co. Forget it. Like where are you gonna ever find that?
My wife is a bad influence as well. It's like I showed her.
I like your wife.
You gotta meet her again.
I need her phone number.
You gotta meet her again now. A post-vintage obsession because like I showed her like a couple, like I was telling you, a couple of guys' pages that do like vintage, and it's like you posted that, and she's like, she sends me the picture. Watch this. You gotta see this. It's like she sends me that. She's like, "What's up with this?" And I'm like, "I saw it at the show. It was like, so we're gonna get it, or like, what are you thinking?" You know? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Fuck! Like, I don't need this right now."
It's funny because I wish my wife would be passionate about watches. She just doesn't care.
No, she loves watches, man.
My wife does not care. Like, just does not care.
Look. She sent me that right there and says, "I want to collect all the Tiffany's."
I love it.
Out of nowhere. and then look.
Well, you know, there's like.
And then she said, and I just put laughing out loud.
Tell her there's like a wide world aside from just Rolex. There's Patek. You know,
no, I know, but that's gonna get too crazy. Dude, so these things are coming like, these things are tropical, you know? Oh my God, tropical. You know that word. That's like, I would say that tropical is the most abused word in your business, like VVS and the diamonds, right?
Okay, so
right?
tropical's abused, and like people like don't understand what real tropical is. They think it's like any aging to the dial, and it's like no.
So what is exactly tropical?
Tropical is very, if you want to be.
To make sure I know what it is.
Like, the real, like in my opinion and most like serious people's opinion, so like a tropical dial is a watch that had a defect in the paint that naturally aged it from black to brown.
Okay.
So you'll see that on like early gilt dial watches. You'll see it on some matte dial watches, like some early 5513s go tropical, or
I'm looking for the AP.
1680 reds that are only the early ones that are meters first because it was a defect in the paint they used.
Yeah.
And it happened on other brands too. But like people will get like water damage in their watch and it'll like turn like brown, but like all like
so is that
like
tropical?
Sandy and stuff. No, that's just water damage. For me, it has to be a natural aging.
My guy that works for me the other day was at the watchmaker and there was a GMT dial there that was like all crispy and crazy.
You want to see what a real tropical dial is?
Yeah, and he tells me, hey, is that something good? I'm like, no, that's just water damaged.
Hold on. I have like a real tropical dial from a vintage Submariner.
I'm gonna show you that AP I'm talking about because oh my god, I just realized like how much how many like damn DMs there's back and forth.
1959. This is a gilt dial. You have to see it in the light because here, let me flash some light on it. So, you see how the dial aged brown like that?
Yeah.
That's a natural tropical dial.
Got it. Yeah, so that's...
No artificial sweeteners, no nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Just natural aging of black to brown.
That's a crazy watch.
Crazy watch.
Let me see it.
I love this watch.
Is this
1959 5508.
Is this from the personal collection?
It was actually. It's actually coming out now for the first time in a long time. So this insert too is only from 1959, and so this insert also goes to what are called square crown guard watches that were only produced in 1959, which are very, very valuable. But that insert's like impossible to find if you want it like absolutely period correct.
How much is that insert?
On the open market, let's say one in perfect condition.
How much shock
the
into?
Sky's the limit, because if you have a square crown guard watch that says worth $200,000 or $250,000, but like it's not really worth that unless you have the correct insert, how much would you pay to get it? So I would say if in a little bit better condition than that, if it was like a really nice condition one, you could command $50,000, maybe $60,000 for it.
$50,000 for an insert. Look at that.
Yeah. Because it completes the watch.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
Jesus, and to think
but
how many...
Let's say you spend $50,000 on an insert, but increases the value of your watch by 75. You're going to do that all day. You know?
Nah, I get it. It's like a set of tail lights for a super rare exotic car that you can't find and they don't make anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure a lot of like watchmakers threw those things away, you know, in the 80s when they didn't even know they were worth money.
No one cared. Yeah, it wasn't like a thing, you know? Like, oh, red triangle bezel insert. It didn't matter, you know? So... All right, well, you want to see a watch, don't you?
Yeah. Hold on. I want to show you that AP that's driving me crazy because like when I get something in my head, like I have to like process it completely. This right here, bro.
Yeah, dual time.
Isn't that a power reserve?
Yeah, but they call that the dual time.
Okay, but that's what I was, you know.
Yeah.
She wants one of those.
They're cool watches. I mean, they're not like super vintagey yet. They're kind of like neo-vintage.
It just looks to me like a screwed up dial.
I've never, well, forgetting the tropical aspect of it.
Is this real tropical?
So with these dials though, it's more of like a peeling of the lacquer.
Got it.
That it shines down.
Yeah.
So it's
kind of like what happened to the blue subs also, that it peeled back.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
So we got the watch here, let's check it out. The reason I'm actually here is for this watch, so. Sometimes you see something on pictures, it's one thing, but for me personally, like the watch has to kind of talk to me. Like I have to kind of like feel like in person that I like it. Where sometimes I will like something on photo, but then when I see it in person, get a better look at it. Let me shift the hands. Check it. Have a look at that. I gotta take my glasses off for this because.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
See, personally, when the GMTs came out, especially in the early 90s or the late 80s, you had the option, believe it or not, of this clasp, you know, or the sport clasp, you know, with the lock. Personally, I tend to like the locking clasp a lot better. I just think it looks more, I don't know, this kind of gives me like a Datejust vibe. So right off the bat, I hate the clasp. But that's something that's not that important because I can always put another bracelet on to wear it and stuff like that. So, you know, if this is the original one that came with it, that's fine. I mean, I think the money and everything here is in the dial and in the case. This factory bracelet?
Is it factory bracelet? Of course it's
yeah, we're not factory, man. What I'm saying is the one that came with that year.
Yes, because they switched over to SEL like 2000. So this is...
Yeah, no, I'm saying the class, because I know you had the option. Sometimes you get, when you would buy those watches, you'd get the option. What are you wearing, bro?
I'm wearing a Patek Philippe World Time reference 1415 yellow gold Patek Philippe bracelet.
Dude, that's
like a 20K bracelet by itself.
That's a crazy looking watch.
So it's a World Timer.
Yeah, I see it. Holy shit.
Cool watch,
that's
right?
cool as shit, man. Salvage that bezel is like, it gotta be like perfect.
Forget
what I'm saying is, you know, back then you would be able to choose this class or the other one.
That's the bracelet.
As long as it came with, I don't care because regardless, like I personally don't love this class, but I don't care.
That's the GMT.
But I'll put another.
Be a fold-over.
Yeah, but they came with foldovers. You came with both, right?
Yeah, but for that era, I'm saying for L serial it would not be.
Ah, so when did they start foldover?
Like on those like SEL bracelets, like early 2000s, I want to say, or like late 90s.
I have a non-solid and link Coke just like this,
right.
And it came with a flip lock because I know I was reading like these, you know, these fancy books that have all this knowledge, and there was a period where you could select the one you wanted.
Yeah, well, so that's what people like sometimes fail to realize is that like you would go into Rolex before the past like 5, 6, 7 years where everything got crazy.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s, 2000s, and it's like, yeah, I want a Jubilee on that. Then
Yeah.
swap it out on a Jubilee. Like
Yeah.
it didn't matter. Like even before that, like with Daytonas, like you walk in and like you want a vintage Daytona. Like
Yeah.
now we call them vintage. There's regular Daytonas at that time, and it had a white dial. And you're like, I want the exotic dial. Now we call those Paul Newman dials. And
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, it's an extra $100. You know,
Yeah.
they'd swap. Like it wasn't a thing. It was totally normal, and that's what they did. They would do anything for their clients. They just wanted to sell watches. You know, this guy who's in our office right now, he just sold us a K serial watch with a brand new 2022 card because the AD had it sitting in the back of his safe for a very, very long time.
A K serial with what?
A brand new card.
With a new style card?
Non-engraved K serial, brand new card. New style card, 2022.
Yeah, you see, they have the power to reprint cards if they want to.
No, but I'm saying it was an AD who had the watch and just never sold it.
Yeah.
Like, just put it in the back of his safe. Like,
Yeah.
stuff happens, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen as often anymore because now everybody runs into the store and buys everything that they could find, you know? But in 2007 or whatever K is, I think that's 2007, there wasn't the crazy demand that there is now. Okay, so you want to do this now? We'll call my client.
Please call them, find out, see what we're going to do. It's driving me crazy.
Like, you have to, you ready to, like, close this?
Yeah.
Your wife's ready, I know
My
that.
wife's ready, so I want to make a move.
No, it's nice. I love it.
And it's a nice watch, man. I like it. It's an investment, more than anything. Plus, I sold one of my big watches, so I kind of, my 5990.
Bar?
No, steel.
How's it going, brother?
Hey, how are you?
Listen, you're on speakerphone. I'm sitting with a good friend of mine. He's actually a modern dealer, but he's collecting like vintage Tiffany for himself. Like I just sold him a 1680 before, yada yada yada. He is interested in your Sapphire, but he wants to pay around. So I know I told you we'd make up the Daytona loss on this one, so like you'd be basically breaking even on the two watches. If that's cool with you, I'll close the deal. If you want me to try to push back, I could push back. You know.
You can do whatever you think is best. I'm good with it.
All right. Well, I mean, I at least want to make sure that you get out whole because you're my homie. You know, not like losing
Yeah,
money.
if I'm even, it's not a big deal to me. This isn't a big one to win or lose on, so.
Yeah, I mean, listen. If you'd only see some of the losses that I've taken in the past 6 months.
I get it.
I just lost 60 grand on a GT3. Not even a car, not even a watch.
Yeah, I'm about to send you a double Tourbillon JLC and lose 70 grand. So this one's not a big one.
Yeah, well, it's a watch that you bought to maintain an AD relationship, though, I'm presuming, because there's no other reason for you to buy a double tourbillon JLC and lose 70 grand.
You like the watch, so
don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Let me get this done.
All right, brother. Thank you.
I love it, man. If I ever call you for like one of these pieces, you could just be straight up, be like, dude, I want to give you a good price, but I kind of need to sell it and make some money, and we'll be cool. I'm not gonna be upset. Like,
no, in this situation, it was just like, Klein consigned me 2 watches, that and the yellow gold Zenith Daytona. And the yellow gold he got from me, the market went down a little bit, so he lost $4 grand on it. And I was like, listen, we'll make it up because he bought that one right, you know? So I was like, we'll make it up on the GMT. That's why I just wanted to clear it with him to make sure he was cool.
Yeah.
You know? So
I sold one of my steel 5990 Patek, which I just wanted to get out of it because I was already over it.
Right. And
then I figured to get some of the funds and park it in something that I like, that I feel is stable.
Right.
Well, I mean, that watch was stable too at the price I was in, but I just wanted to change it up, man. So then I could wear more too, you know?
I don't really think
Dude, it's so crispy, man.
it's a really nice watch.
It is so crispy in day one. Tell me a little bit about how in the 1680 versions, how usually a lot of times the hands get darker than the dial, but on the sapphire versions it's the other way around. Like, why is that?
No, it's actually a good question, and people like so often will see a watch that has hands that are different color than the dial. They're like, oh, are the hands redone, or the hands reloomed, or color matched? And it's often not the case. It's often a good sign that they don't match entirely. Rolex traditionally used different loom manufacturers and also loomed the dials and hands at different times. So they aged very differently.
I get what you're saying. Like a dial was loomed, okay, this year, and then next year the hands, and then by the time they built the watch,
right. And
that makes sense.
And they use different manufacturers
to
loom because of different kind of stabilities and all that stuff. So you'll see them age, and also keep in mind that the hands are moving around a lot. There's different elements that are hitting the hands that are not hitting the dial. So it's very, very common. In fact, it's more common than not to see hands on both plastic and sapphire crystal watches that age differently. A lot of times they match perfectly, and that's original, but a lot of times they do not match perfectly. So if we UV that right now, you'll see, which is usually a good indicator, the glow is absolutely the same.
Can we do that? Can we do that? And if a watch had equal color patina on the hands and the dial, would you always want to take a second look?
So on a sapphire watch, yes.
On a sapphire watch, yes.
On a plastic crystal, it's not quite as suspicious.
It's funny you say that because one of the 2 watches I brought to show you is it has that exact thing. It's light, the hands, so that's correct then. Sapphire.
Foray to vintage.
Sorry.
So it's like, for example, you look at a 16570 Explorer 2. Okay, sapphire crystal, neo vintage now from the 90s.
Yeah.
The ones that get nice great yellow patina. Sometimes they call them Chichi Demise styles. They put a cool nickname.
Yeah.
So all of those without fail, the hands are white. And when you see one that's perfect matching yellow, it's very suspicious.
Me, the hands might be original, but they definitely match them, maybe, right?
So if you see, look, so this tritium doesn't have a strong glow. It's just a small reaction.
Got it.
When you're hitting it with the UV light, that's all it should do. That's correct. So if you look at the glow while we're exposing it to UV, it's identical. The color and the length. So it's just, again, I've seen so many of these that I knew right away that this was tritium. If you loop it, it's clearly tritium. And as soon as you flash some UV on it, the way it matches with the dial perfectly, they're original hands, Because service hands, they either glow longer or they
glow longer.
They glow blue.
Got it.
So it would just be a different kind of.
And if the hands were to match on that Explorer, it doesn't necessarily mean that the hands are treated. It could also be that maybe they just matched the hands.
Yeah,
They took and they matched them. Maybe they're not the original ones that came on that watch, but they matched them.
Well, yeah, no. A lot of times, you know, I'll have clients who want a watch like this where the hands are white, and they're like, you know what, I don't like the way that looks. Can you have them color matched? And what they do is you just remove the lume and you put like a different, you know, I don't know. Some people use like paint. Some people use
Holy
this,
shit!
some
No,
people use that.
I wouldn't do that.
No, but some people
Personally, I wouldn't.
You know, for me, it's not such a big deal on hands.
Yeah.
If you relume a dial, that's a big deal because there's no going back from
Got
that.
you.
But hands, like especially on a watch like this, like if you wanted another set of hands for this watch, you can go out and find them. And if
Gotcha.
you wanted original tritium from the era, you can even find those because there were so many available. There was a lot more produced. There's a lot more for sale.
Yeah.
So like you could go on eBay or the forums and look for like the shade of patina that you want, tritium hands that would be original to the watch and period correct. If you relume a dial, you can't revert it back to original lume. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
So that's why for hands, people who want to color match their watch because they like the aesthetic of it, for me that's no problem. Because you could always go back to original if you want. Okay? But for dials, big no-no. Like you just
there's no going back to that at all. Bro, this Omega.
It's cool, right? I like that watch.
What does this run?
It's like a limited edition white gold one. It's like high teens, you know, but like they all, for some reason, it's like another like cool, like tropical kind of thing. All of these dials patinaed like that, like most of them. You know, it's like a natural patina. I call that patina, I wouldn't call it tropical, you know what I'm saying?
This thing's beautiful, man.
Right. So that I consider tropical, because it was original Yves Klein blue.
It was
and
originally
completely aged purple. It's like it doesn't have to necessarily be brown in color. It's just a natural paint defect that ages the dial, or that changes the color of the dial, I should say. That's why some people don't call them tropical, they call them color change. You'll see that a lot too. Instead of the word tropical, you see people call them color change dials.
Wow.
Like it happens on like vintage gold subs a lot. They either go brown or they go purple.
This thing's a stud.
So that's the very first reference of Mariner. It's reference 6204, but it's a small crown. This is actually a Tudor. Big crown though, from 1958.
Oh, it's a Tudor.
Yeah, even rarer than a Rolex Mariner actually. Rolex big crown.
I think there's like 4 more heavy vintage watches that's in my radar for the long-term plan. The sapphire version of the sub,
right?
Plastic version of this, and then I want
Here's the label for Yasek, by the way.
I want a 1680 blue dial.
Cool, yeah.
Do those go purple ever?
Yeah, I just sold the craziest.
Or a 1680 purple, and then I want a 1680 super mint black nipple dial. And then
16808 black coming in, but it's not like super mint.
This thing's
I
cool,
got
man.
it at like a random auction house in Austria, and they called it like the Purple Haze dial.
The Purple Haze?
That's actually like a great name for it.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking dial. Here's the dial out of the case.
And then this one right here. I have this like mission that I'm on where I told you I want to have 100 subs by 50, and then like even my boy Keon that works for me,
It's 100 subs by 50 or 40 now, right?
Yeah.
So that's quick math, 10 subs a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have to all be expensive.
Right.
They can be, you know.
Why 100?
I don't know. Why not? I like subs, and I figured it'd be a
Dude, you'll have one of the coolest subs.
either a 401k or it'll be a college fund for my.
Why not?
Why not? Okay. And what happens is he showed me this, and it goes, when you see it in person, it has to talk to me. And when I saw it, it did talk to me. I like it.
Okay.
Now, that dial, is it just plain water damage, or what is that considered?
Yeah.
It looks like it has like little rust dots.
Yeah, it's what it is.
It's water damage.
It's water damage, you know. Most likely, it's moisture that got
Moisture.
in. It could be rust from the bottom, you know, like the movement got rusted in.
Would you consider that dial is attractive, or you consider it as junk?
No, it's got a cool look to it. It's it's like a patina. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a cool. The cool thing about vintage watches is that no two are alike. You know,
Gotcha. That's what I like about that.
So like, and that's what initially drew me into it too, is that like you're buying like a piece of history, you're buying a story, you know, like this watch lived a life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it looks cool. It just obviously the price has to reflect. So like if you're buying, let's say it was a perfect gloss factory dial.
Yeah, no, the price is good. Is it dark because of the problem, or is it dark because like this, like this one right here, or like this one?
The one looks good.
Ah, you see, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, the hand. On the other hand.
Tell me. This is a mini crash course on the sub.
I would say these are like very early service hands. It's weird because like the seconds hand.
It's cool.
The seconds hand is original, and it even matches the dial, and it's the same texture.
Can I see?
The hour and minute hand, it's tritium, but it's like it's like an earlier, like shinier tritium if you loop it, you know? So even though it glows, that's what I'm saying, it's probably very early service hands.
I see what you're saying. I see the second hand is different.
You know, so I would say the hour and minute hand will replace at some point. It was probably done when somebody sent this watch in for service. You know what I'm saying? Like in the late 80s, early 90s, whatever. I don't know when that watch was produced, but like let's say mid 90s, you know?
It's an R serial.
So it's 89. Yeah, so in the early 90s, you know, probably like not long after it was born, you know, sold. It went in for service and they replaced it with the early tritium hands because they're not Luminova.
I kind of like it. And it's never been polished. It's day one.
Dude, case is really nice.
It's day one.
Dude, if you could buy that for a decent price, it's a great watch. You know?
What do you think is a decent price?
I would put that on my website. Like, it's good enough for me to put on my website. I like the look of it. Like, I like the condition of it.
Damn, I'm sold.
No, it's not my watch. I don't care.
I know.
I don't care if you buy it.
What do you think this is something that I should be buying as a consumer, not as a dealer?
As a consumer, 85 to 9
okay.
kind of thing. You know?
Okay,
so
all right.
if you're getting it a little cheaper than that, then
yeah.
you're doing okay.
It's that these are fun watches, man.
Right. You know.
I feel that these are fun watches.
You know, like there's a place for perfect watches, you know, and there's a
which I have a box full of those.
Right. But there's also a huge place for not perfect watches, you know, for watches that have a cool story or cool aging to it, or just like, you know, that speak to you. You know, first and foremost, a watch has to speak to you. Some of the watches in my personal collection are far from it. Far from it. But they're either something that, like, if I didn't buy it, I'd never find it ever again. Dude, you know, in any condition. Or I just love the aesthetic of it.
I say that all the time. Like, when I hold the watch in my hand, like, when I buy stuff for me, when I buy stuff for business, it's a different type of feeling I get.
Right.
It's sometimes I'll get like a gut feeling, and then I'm right. Something was off on the watch, or the history, or something. That's a different type. But when it's for me, like, I grab the watch and it has to talk to me. I have to like it. Like it like, I don't know, man. It's almost like a woman. It has to, like, you know, it has to seduce me. You know
what? Like, that's the problem.
That's why I came to see this. I was like, I need to see it in my hands.
And in vintage land, it's a big problem. Like, especially with collectors overseas and stuff. I won't say what region, but anybody watching will know if they know. You show them a watch. you show them a watch, and like for me, like if I'm buying for myself, I look at the watch. Like you just said, like, does it speak to me? Do I like the watch?
Yeah.
You hand them a watch, the very first thing they do is they pick up a loop and start inspecting it to make sure see if there's any flaws. They don't even look at the watch. They just immediately put a loop on it, you know?
That used to be me.
You're doing it for your business. It's different.
Even when I started off as just a collector,
right?
That's me. That's who I am.
Right.
You know,
it's different.
Like my watchmakers, when they give me back a job, they give it back to me like this. Like, this is them. Look, be gentle. Like, they give it back to me like that.
We have to inspect and make
like, they want my opinion to be gentle.
Right. We have to inspect and look deeply because our clients are relying on us to accurately describe the watch and tell them what's what. You know.
Yeah.
So if there is flaws, we need to be able to tell them that. So like we can't miss anything. It's our money on the line.
Of course.
But if you're buying like a watch for pleasure, like the first thing you shouldn't be doing is immediately looping the dial to see defects. First, see if you even like the watch. Like, and then go into the whole rigmarole of like what's the condition, are there problems with it? You know, like, but if you don't like the watch to begin with, why are you looping it to see what flaws are on the dial? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a vintage piece.
There's
always going to be something.
I get like a Dr. This is yours, right? I get like a Dr. Doolittle thing out of it, man. Like, it talks to me.
Right.
Like, it legit talks to me. So
that's what it is. It's especially guys like us, where we're seeing so many different things every single day, and you know, just buying, trading, selling. Like, it's hard to get excited and passionate about something new. You know.
Yeah.
So like when you do, it's great. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, listen, I got to get back to work because my store's probably going crazy. Thank you for this. I'll take a break now for a while, and then we'll
Your
work
wife
on
will be happy.
we'll work on those other ones that we talked
Tell
about.
your wife to hit me up.
Bro, you're gonna be a bad influence, man. It's bad enough she already follows you. If you don't follow Adam already at what, Menta Watches?
Menta Watches, yeah.
Yes, I'm telling you it's addictive though, so be careful. Thank you for putting up with us here while you're working. Adam, thank you, bro. Enjoy lunch. And I wanna go see that car. Let's set something up, man. I like to put that on camera too.
What, my RS?
Yeah, me geek out completely on that RS.
Let's do it, whatever you want.
So I'm starting to wonder if I'm gonna need an intervention with this, new page that I'm turning with my watch collecting journey. I don't know. I feel like I'm obsessing over specific vintage watches. Like I can't take it. I'm starting to sell some of my modern stuff to get some older watches. I don't know. We're gonna have to see where this new journey takes me that I'm embarking on. And you guys are gonna be there to see it. And if you like this video, like and share it. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel.